Welcome back, everybody, to another by-election roundup. Thanks. Before we get started, we've hit 16,000 subscribers in the last week, as you can see in the top right corner there. So thank you to all the new subscribers. Welcome. If you haven't yet subscribed, please do hit the subscribe button. We cover these by-elections every week, normally on a Friday. Last 2 weeks have been a Saturday because of work, but yeah, thank you all for coming and subscribing. Please do hit the subscribe button for this unique content that we get into here. Now, you'll be happy to know, the regulars here, that I'm on the clock this week because I've got places to be. We're having a family outing. So I'm going to have to keep the twittering to a minimum. And with that, we're going to get straight into the by-election results. So, Chryselton and Huntington in Cheshire West and Chester. This was a Conservative defence, and they have held on. As you can see, they got 33% of the vote, pretty much a third of the vote. But the Greens, very much hot on their heels. Reform came in third place, quite a long way short of the main two, and then Labour and the Liberal Democrats down there below. A healthy turnout of just under 45%, actually. Very, very high for a council election in the first place, a by-election as well. That's pretty good turnout. So Conservatives hold on to their seats there. In terms of the vote share change, look, Reform again are the big improvers. They tend to be the biggest improvers in most of these by-elections because they're coming from zero, but only enough for third there. The Tories and the Greens were both up by about 5 points. Look, it's a good hold for the Conservatives. Of course it is. They've got an increasing vote share they'll be happy about. The last 2 weeks have been kind of dedicated to the Tories. I'm not going to talk about them too much, but look, it's not the highest vote share. You can see there was no independent last time. It seems as though the Greens and the Tories have sort of shared that independent vote between them. And really, there's been no change in terms of the difference between the Conservatives and the Greens. The Greens have caught up a little bit, but last time this seat was very marginal. There was less than 10 points separating first and fourth. That's all spread out a bit more now, and it's more of a two-horse race between the Conservatives and the Green Party. Reform in third place. Interesting, look, the Liberal Democrats' vote here did actually decline quite heavily. I thought this would be a seat that would maybe go, based on the fact it was so marginal last time with Conservatives, Labour, Green and Lib Dem all in the hunt. I thought this would be a potential target for the Liberal Democrats if the Green vote didn't hold up, because they've had a few lacklustre weeks. But no, the Greens did quite well, improving a little bit more than the Tories and staying in touch with them. Not too much else to say here. I don't think this was a Reform target area. I don't think this area is really a Reform target. That Cheshire West and Chester area is a Labour council at the moment. I think it leans more towards the Liberal side of things. Green voters, Liberal Democrat voters, things like that. I could be wrong on that. If I am, please do correct me in the comments. But that was Chryselton and Huntington. Good hold for the Conservatives. I don't think it's anything spectacular, but they'll be happy to have not lost the seats, which is what they have been doing in the last 2 weeks. We will move on to the next one. Apsley and Corner Hall ward in Dacorum. And so I was a bit wrong last week when I did the brief preview of this ward, because I said Liberal Democrat defence, it'll be easy peasy, Liberal Democrat controlled council, but I forgot, and actually my map that I was using wasn't updated, that actually Dacorum has been a bit of a turbulent place for the Liberal Democrats. They did have a majority, but they had a big internal split in the party in Dacorum, and the Liberal Democrats actually lost overall control. So it's a Liberal Democrat minority at the moment. And actually this seat was, the councillor who was resigning was elected as a Liberal Democrat, but actually left the party and sat in it as an independent. So depending on how you want to look at it, this is a Liberal Democrat gain off of an independent, which is what it will say down here if I change that. Lib gain off from independent. Or it's kind of a Liberal Democrat hold because they did win the election last time. So look, a lot of turbulent stuff going on in Dacorum with just the internal Liberal Democrat Party. I remember reading about it. It happened in 2023. I had completely forgotten about it when we did this preview last week. But yeah, look, in hindsight, had I known that, I might have said maybe the Liberal Democrats were vulnerable to losing here. But they have held on. They got, again, same as the Tories up in Cheshire West. They got a third of the vote, just under 33%. Reform here in a very good second place, actually. And again, this is maybe, again, correct me if I'm wrong, but not necessarily an area I would have as that strong of a Reform target. It's Hertfordshire on the border of Buckinghamshire. Look, Reform did all right in those two places last year, but they were quite a way behind the Conservatives and the Liberal Democrats in both. So it's that sort of an area, more Liberal Democrat Conservative rather than Reform Conservative. So look, this is a good result for Reform. Again, look, Conservatives here relegated down into third place by Reform. That's not great for them. And then the other three aren't really worth talking about. The Independent was quite well known, I think. I think it was a TV personality. Let me know in the comments. I believe I remember reading about that when I was doing a by-election preview. Oh, quickly, so I said no twittering. If you do follow the X account, the plan of that was that there's going to be by-election previews going up on the Thursday on polling day. The last 2 weeks I've posted. I have to save the drafts because it's a thread. because it won't let me schedule a thread. And then I posted the thread on Thursday morning, and it's deleted most of the posts. So I'm sorry that's not quite working out if you have been following over there. I'm not sure what's going on. Anyway, vote share changed percentages then. So it's all go here. The Conservatives were down pretty heavily, 14 points. So again, another bad result for them here. The Liberal Democrats down 16.5 points. So look, that's expected. If anything, that's probably not too bad, a reduction actually in their vote share, considering the fact that things have been a bit turbulent for them on the council that they've been running, and Labour again down 12 as well. So the main three parties all taking a bit of a hit here in Dacorum. Once again, Reform the standout gainers, as I just mentioned before, they're coming from zero, which is a large part of that. But that was, like we said, a very respectable and healthy second place for them, quite a way ahead of the Conservatives. The Greens also improved quite well, and that Independent obviously also came from zero. To get 9.5 points. So look, a hold for the Liberal Democrats. I'm sure they'll be happy with that in a council where they've been a bit chaotic. Look, I think in all fairness, correct me if I'm wrong, and I'm trying to be non-partisan here, I actually think the Liberal Democrats are pretty good local council administrators, generally speaking. I think they're actually a pretty good local party. But in this place, it seems to have gone a bit awry. So look, a good result for them. They 31% turnout here as well is not too bad either. So that's two of the three. We'll now move on to our last one, which is close to Dacorum, down in Slough. Sippenham Green Ward in Slough, and this was a Conservative defence, and it's another loss for the Conservative Party. So look, three results this week. One was good for the Conservatives. They held on with an increasing vote share. One, they lost 12 points and finished below Reform. And here they've lost the seat to the Green Party. Now, look how marginal it is. All of these votes have been quite marginal. And that's why I put the melodramatic, if you like, thumbnail torn apart with the Union Jack in two, because I think this is just a picture of the country at the moment in many ways. We are, as a nation, so divided. I think everybody's very unhappy. Everybody's pretty displeased. And everybody knows that we need a change in direction. We need some sort of revival. But we can't decide which way we want to do that. And so many results now are like this. Look, Greens have won this very, very, very marginally, very, very slim majority. But they've won it on 24.5% of the vote, which is, really extraordinary. The other two were won on a third of the vote, which is becoming normal these days. But it's not really normal if you look back in history. And we are just in the trenches right now, I think, as a country. We really are. And it is quite sad to see. And I just hope that this sort of period of maybe labour pains, as we're sort of birthing a new nation in the coming years, will not last too long, because we are kind of directionless at the moment. And as a country, we are not united. We are not a United Kingdom, and it's sad to see. But anyway, on to this result. The Greens then, 24.5% of the vote was enough to win ahead of the Tories. Very, very marginal, but 24.2% of the vote. Now, it's interesting, isn't it? Because there's Reform on 19.5% of the vote. Now, I've said on this channel a lot of the stuff with tactical voting and splitting the vote and all that. I'm not a huge fan of perpetuating those narratives, but Reform are on X in particular, online now, saying a lot about Restore Britain in Makerfield. Why are you standing? Why are you splitting the vote and letting Andy Burnham win? Well, kind of this is what Reform have done here, isn't it? And I don't think this is. This obviously is nowhere near as impactful. Sippenham Green Ward in Slough is not as impactful as the Makerfield by-election for Parliament up in the northwest. Of course, it's not. But there is an element of, well, give it and take it. Reform, when they use this argument, have to understand, and I don't disagree. Reform split the vote in 2024 on the right because they felt that they're fundamentally a different party to the Conservative Party. They don't see a likeness there. They think the Conservative Party have strayed away from conservatism, have bought into the liberal mainstream agenda, mainstream consensus. And Reform said, we're not about that. We're something completely different. So we're not splitting the vote. We're a different party. Well, Reform have to understand that that's what Restore see themselves versus Reform as. So, trying to be impartial here, that's the case. Restore don't see themselves as the same party as Reform. They don't see themselves as splitting the vote because they see themselves as offering something unique, something different that they think Reform aren't offering. So There you go. There's that. Anyway, I have tweeted on this one a little bit, haven't I? Vote share change percentages then. So a very good result for the Green Party. They're up 24.5 points. Now, I did say in the preview this could be a target for the Greens. Like I said, Slough on the Nowcast last year at some point. I don't know if it still is, but it certainly was at one point going on the Nowcast to a Gaza Independent. So I wondered if this might be an area where the Greens might do well based on their appeal to the Muslim base at the moment, and particularly the Islamist vote. Didn't know if this was going to be an area like that with the Conservatives having won before, but they've done very well. The Conservatives here, again, very heavy loss, down 28 points. This is the third in 3 weeks, that we've seen them take a massive hammering somewhere. Obviously, it was Swansea a couple of weeks ago, and where was it? Up in Furness last week, wasn't it? So, yeah, look, it's not good for the Tories, but I've spoken enough about them last week. Again, Reform with a good showing as well, increasing by 19, almost 20 points. No independents last time. They got around about 11% of the vote last time, so that was all up for grabs. So the Greens gain off the Conservatives. I can put it down there. So a loss for the Conservatives here. So one hold for the Conservatives, one where they finished below Reform against Liberal Democrats, and one loss to the Green Party. So again, I think a pretty bad week for the Conservatives, really. Turnout here was 32.1%. So yeah, that's it. I mean, like I said, the thumbnail was made such that I could put it as a thumbnail every week, really, but I just thought this result in particular in Sippenham Green is emblematic of where we're at. And this is, of course, remember, is what the Cheshire West and Chester ward looked like last time in 2023 as well. Parties winning on a very low vote share, by very, very small margins. We are very divided, and we need to get our act together as a country and come together and decide on a path to forge ourselves forward ahead, because we can't go on like this. On that note, I'm going to leave it there. I'm not going to do a preview on this one because it's a big week next week. Of course, we've got Makerfield. That's next Thursday. That's going to be the headline, of course. But we've also got a handful, I can't remember how many, but there's quite a big glut of council by-elections as well, 3 in Wales, and these are all ones in Wales where it's members of councils that got elected to the Senedd, and then there's a few across England as well with some early resignations from the May elections. So do join us next week for the roundup. I am toying with the idea of doing a live stream Thursday night for the Makerfield by-election, and we'll also see all those ones come in live as well. I will do a by-election roundup video too, but if you're interested in another live stream just for that night next week, let me know. It would be a late one, of course. We'll be up probably all night, but if that's something that would interest you, do let me know in the comments. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you maybe on the live stream. Oh no, I'll see you on the preview video, then maybe on the live stream next Thursday. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.